Welcome all, this is Team Paracosm's Sprint 1 review for our current project, Little Alchemist. This sprint focuses mainly on large mechanics for the player character to use in-world.
Hi, my name is Ryan Boyd, and the mechanic I'll be explaining today is the nightlight. This is a light mechanic where enemies that see it react to it. That reaction could be anything, but as it is now, we have it so that they run away. This mechanic fits with and utilizes all of our pillars. Imagination is the basis of the mechanic. Using the nightlight as an item requires the player to use imagination. The player does with pebbles and sticks, along with all the other changeable items. This can be used to avoid combat for a small amount of time or even trap enemies if used properly. This also allows the player to get ingredients for crafting or allow them to bypass enemies to explore areas that are blocked by combat encounters. The player gets to decide when they want to skip a fight, allowing them the choice to guide the pace of their experience. The mechanics workings displayed in the tutorial area where we explain how to activate the light. The enemy they see after gaining this mechanic will be a larger enemy since they are the slowest enemies and the easiest to hit. This allows the player to sneak up with the flashlight to move the enemy away from the area. While holding the nightlight, the battery drains. After letting it go, it starts to recharge, slower than it drained. This makes the player have to balance between avoiding enemies and taking combat encounters. When it's pressed, the light turns on, and there's also an accompanying switch sound. As the flashlight gets low, it starts to flicker, giving feedback that the battery percentage is low, as well as there's a progress bar on screen that updates about every fourth of a second. Enemies, when running, have the color of their vision cone change from red to blue and go in the direction that the player is looking. We practice by using fast enemies as well as using multiple enemies to teach more advanced techniques like the enemy's patrol timing, allowing openings that were not there before. In the mastery phase, we mix all enemy types and have more complex navigation systems, making the player use more knowledge or all the knowledge that they've learned up to this point. There are a few bugs with this mechanic as it is. The enemies sometimes from the flashlight until they finish their current task. The enemy's vision cone sometimes is also bigger than the flashlight extends from the player, essentially not allowing them to use it to avoid combat. Both of these bugs are things that we know about and plan on fixing in our second sprint.
Hello, my name is Shane Van Dusseldorp and I'm excited to share with you my stealth mechanic for the game Little Alchemist. This mechanic supports our game's vision by supporting our design pillar of exploration. This mechanic supports player agency by allowing the player to choose between engaging in combat or sneaking past monsters. This introduces a risk-reward dynamic where stealth can offer resource conservation and unique exploration opportunities. This mechanic is introduced in a straightforward way where players will learn to crouch and sneak past a slow-moving and less aggressive creature with a clear visual indicator of the creature's perception range. This mechanic can offer the player both reward and punishment by rewarding successful stealth with avoiding combat and obtaining resources. Failure, such as entering the perception range, can result in starting combat and the potential of losing resources. The player receives feedback with visual cues such as the red cone that represents the creature's perception range, auditory cues such as sounds that the player makes while moving, and environmental interactions such as alerted creatures exhibiting visible and audible reactions such as growling or turning towards the player. During the introduction phase of this mechanic, there will be simple stealth scenarios with slow-moving creatures and clear paths. In the practice phase of this mechanic, there will be faster and more perceptive creatures, along with environmental challenges, such as terrain that requires you to break stealth to traverse it. During the mastery phase of this mechanic, there will be complex patrol patterns with multiple creatures. This will require precise timing and creative use of the environment in order to succeed.
Hi, my name is Maurice Pollock, and today I will be explaining the swimming mechanic. This this mechanic allows players to collect items underwater. Underwater while swimming, players have a stamina meter to manage. It's important to keep an eye out on this stamina gauge because if you don't keep an eye out on this stamina gauge, the player could feel fatigued and potentially drown. To help avoid, players can find specific locations that they can rest while refilling their stamina. Once the stamina gauge is fully replenished, players can dive back into the water and continue swimming. Additional, additionally, there's still need to be refined with swimming animations and ensure it feels more like swimming water than rather walking in water. This will be further discussed in Sprint 2.
My name is Dempsey, and my mechanic gives the character the ability to track. The tracking mechanic is a feature designed to enhance exploration and resource discovery in the game. By using a special tracking rock, players can uncover hidden trails left by creatures in the environment. These trails guide the player to valuable resources, rare items, and new encounters. The magic evolves from simple trail following to complex problem solving, offering players an immersive and rewarding experience that aligns with the game's theme of exploration and crafting. Game vision. The tracking mechanic supports the design pillar of immersive exploration and crafting. By introducing an interactive way to locate creatures and resources, it immerses players in the game's world and encourages thoughtful engagement. Clarity and learnability. The mechanic is introduced through a clear and intuitive tutorial. Players first learn to spot tracks by looking through the tracking rock. Visual and textual cues explain the unique patterns left by different creatures. A straightforward path guides the players initially, ensuring the mechanic is easy to grasp. Reward and punishment. The tracking mechanic creates impactful rewards and consequences. Successfully following tracks can lead to discovering new creatures, finding rare reagents, and unlocking hidden locations. However, errors such as losing the trail or misidentifying tracks result in wasted resources, missed opportunities, or even ambushes. Feedback. Players receive clear feedback through multiple channels. Visual cues highlight tracks when they look through the tracking rock, with unique shapes and patterns identifying the creature type. A rotating circle around the screen's perimeter simulates the rock's view. Environmental interactions such as clearing debris to remove more tracks trigger animations and sound effects, reinforcing progress. Iteration and variation. The tracking mechanic evolves across 3 stages. Introduction. Tracks are fully visible, guiding players along simple paths to build familiarity. Practice. Tracks become partially obscured, requiring players to clear obstacles or identify the correct trail among multiple options. Mastery. Tracks traverse challenging terrains like rocky areas with gaps requiring interpretation. Some animals actively ambush the player, adding a layer of difficulty. Bugs and refinements. Currently, there are no bugs to the tracking mechanic, but I have planned aesthetic and feedback improvements for Sprint 2. The rotating dots on the screen's edge will be replaced with a solid stone ring. Audio feedback will be added for minor actions, such as moving debris and picking up the tracking rock. The mechanic functions cleanly, making it enjoyable to use, easy to understand, and visually appealing. Postmortem. Our team has had significant technical difficulties and had to restore our project to a backup in order to repair them. There were plenty of obstacles to overcome and script that looked sound but refused to work. All in all, I believe this team had good priorities and time management this sprint, leading to significant progress. Thank you for watching, and I hope you return to see our next sprint's progress.